National Bank directors caught red-handed, live, engaging in corruption and obstruction of justice. This is a true but unbelievable chronicle of events that took place at NBK. A faithful citation of facts of a meeting called by the chairman Mr. Mohammed Abdirahman Hassan, to terminate the secretary's services. What you will witness is shocking. Corruption, nepotism, bad governance, and lawlessness in action, as if straight out of a mafia Godfather movie. Mr. Mohammed Abdirahman Hassan starts the meeting by expelling the victim, because corruption and lawlessness thrive where light fails.
And I announced my time to do my AOB. They have an issue myself. My issue is Kamuji. Kamuji, how to discuss, so I want to out.
Okay.
The victim leaves, but a digital recorder is running, so this story can be very, very accurately told.
So anyway, my problem is this, we had a letter that was written here by Ahmed Nasser.
Mr. Hassan and Ahmed are about to execute an unlawful plan to discuss a sub judice complaint being deliberated by a judicial tribunal, and to punish the company secretary for participating in those proceedings. This is criminal interference with ongoing proceedings.
So anyway, my problem is this, we had a letter that was written here by Ahmed Nasser to my office about complaints of complaint commission and etc. And I was out of the country actually. So then the letter was written on the 18th. When I came back, I got another letter on my desk. So what I did is that I asked Kamweti, please tell me what this complaint is about. And when he told me what the complaint is about, even before discussing with me, or discussing with the MD, who was out of town, I think at that time, Kamweti had sent a letter to the complaint commission, which I found very upsetting.
Next he throws a tantrum to create a false impression that something is wrong, but nothing is wrong. It's all smoke and mirrors, trying to create a feeling of a crisis, so as to justify dismissal of the secretary and halt proceedings against their cousin Mr. Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi.
I found it very upsetting myself. I don't know if you it means you people in India don't have any I couldn't believe it actually. I totally couldn't believe that letter went out. I wasn't even in the country. I called him very upset. I told him, how can you send this letter?
In previous months Mr. Hassan and Ahmed repeatedly threatened Kamweti with termination if Kamweti did not withdraw the court matter against cousin Mr. Abdullahi. This is witness tampering. Hassan confirms these threats before saying, I have no confidence in Kamweti.
After all these meetings that I've had questioning Kamweti, the sat here and told Munir to go ahead and see. In the last meeting we gave him instructions to, I said, I absolutely have no confidence in Kamweti, if he can do something. So me as a chairman of the board, as a director, I have no confidence in Kamweti.
This is nepotism, abuse of office, intimidation of witnesses. This should not happen in a public-owned, publicly traded banking entity. But why the haste and hurry? First reason. They have a secret replacement.
There's something that the guy is coming in others.
Yes.
Past others.
It is prearranged. Secretaries are not recruited to public companies in a day and in secret.
Whatever the time anyway.
This month, I think, person is coming from where? From that person. He's the Assistant Secretary to insurance. And was the head of legal in DTV before that. So it's quite a bit of fun.
Second reason. Mr. Abdullahi instructed his cousins and kin to terminate, and in his hubris he announced this on NTV Weekend Live. Listen on.
This disciplinary case apparently coming up against you in mid-July.
That's a useless thing, you know. I mean, NPK has no issue with me. I mean, it was filed by an obsessed character, you know, who has been haunting me for the last 3-4 years.
That short clip displays contempt for ongoing proceedings, but in the next NTV clip Abdullahi states that the proceedings against him will be terminated in a week, just the amount of time his kith and kin Hassan and Ahmed need to call the present meeting to dismiss. The termination meeting was actually held 7 days after the NTV interview.
it's not NBK, you know, that has a problem with me. It's someone, and that case will be withdrawn next week.
We don't know that yet.
I'm telling you.
Abdullahi is not a fortune teller but rather has joint plans with his cousins in NBK, who are both conflicted, disloyal and deceitful to the institution, and are prepared to criminally abuse their offices to help Mr. Abdullahi avoid due process. What caused all this lawlessness by Mr. Hassan and Mr. Ahmed? What was their motivation? Simple. Mr. Abdullahi, their kinsman, stole official NBK documents in the victim's custody, in ongoing litigation, started 5 years before his cousins joined the bank. In the case of Abdullahi versus the bank, the victim reported Abdullahi to his professional body. Mr. Abdullahi's only way out is getting his cousins to dismiss the victim in order to enable them terminate those proceedings. Next, hear Hassan describe the theft by Mr. Abdullahi.
Your lawyer, who was a Tibetan Ohaka, wrote a letter.
Hassan's next words are proof that Abdullahi actually stole, and being disloyal and conflicted, Mr. Hassan actually enjoys this assault on his institution, NBK. Hassan now shifts from table-banging tantrums to mirth.
Ahmed Nasir go to get that letter. I don't know how. From the bank here. And Ahmed Nasir circulated that letter to what do you call the judges. When he circulated the judges, and he copied our lawyers who had written the letter, our lawyers got very upset and they wrote to us a letter of complaint here.
This conduct is both corrupt and unprofessional. It's all about trying to cover up Mr. Abdullahi's unprofessional conduct by criminal witness tampering. And Mr. Hassan's false manipulative tantrums now resumed. It's all about effecting a pre-agreed, pre-arranged dismissal of the victim in order to terminate ongoing theft-related proceedings against Mr. Abdullahi, the perpetrator, their cousin, and friend.
Actually, I went to his office and told me there's a letter from Ahmed Nasir. Have you seen a letter from Ahmed Nasir? The day you were having a meeting here on the credit committee. So I walked in there, I told him I don't see any letter. So I went to the office and I got a letter that the secretary had put. So after this I just wrote, I said, please explain what this issue is. And me I went. His response was surprising actually. I looked at it and I got so upset. I called that night and said, what is this guy talking about? So I told her, your lawyer explained to me anyway, all the issue. But I have absolutely no confidence in him. I don't want to work with him.
Linking the victim's employment to Abdullahi is utterly illogical, and can only be explained as abuse of office. As clearly seen in this documentary, stealing documents from opponents, sneaking them onto the judges presiding over his cases in order to influence them, and tampering with witnesses and litigants is the corrupt hallmark of Mr. Abdullahi, which in his own words to others is Byzantine, barbaric, and stinks to high hell. Meanwhile, the night of long knives, the corruption fest continues. Mr. Ahmed bravely confirms that the cheeky lawyer Abdullahi is his cousin, who engineered this present trial by board meeting and correspondence, by deliberately writing to Mr. Hassan, the chairman, because the chairman asked him. Note that the chairman feigned ignorance earlier in this documentary. Despite the earlier table-banging tirade, he is actually a joint instigator of the letters.
I'm not being a very cheeky lawyer, he's my cousin from this version here, has sort of needlessly wrote to the chairman because he said if he writes, because the chairman asked him.
This is a very deliberate, clandestine, hypocritical interference of ongoing court proceedings. They do not respect rule of law, they know what they are doing is unlawful. Their only salvation is to cover their tracks and avoid due process by perjury and deceit. Listen on.
The 2007 labor laws, plus the current industrial court judges, are not for employers. They are for employees. You do something like that, and they run there and get so much packages. I don't know how it happens.
But they proceeded to terminate anyway. All they needed is a good perjury pact, to avoid looking ridiculous. But digital recorders don't lie. Keep listening.
Being what kind of person he is, and also avoiding looking ridiculous. He was company secretary, harassing everybody. Now he is being harassed. They handled his way.
Neither do they respect the law or the courts of the land. and believe they have the unbridled power to terminate anyone's employment without giving reasons. But this power to terminate without giving reasons is lost upon the courts. Just listen to this frightening misplaced sense of knowledge and invincibility. This attitude augurs very badly for industrial relations in the bank.
Because like any appointment, you have got the mandate to be terminated. I mean, everyone which is appointed is lost on the court as well.
And they don't respect the truth or honesty either. Keep listening. Mr. Ahmed was asked to swear by the Quran that Mr. Abdullahi was not discussed in the meeting. No prizes to guess his reply, but it shows he gives neither the truth nor the Quran any value.
I tell you, here is the Quran. Tell me on the 8th that Mr. Abdullahi was not the main issue.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
When a public deposit-taking institution is in the hands of officers who are corrupt abusers of office who do not know or care for law, governance, truth, or the interests of that institution, and treat it as a family asset, it is a disaster for shareholders, depositors, regulators, and the public. Waiting to happen.